Help support Friendo Club by going to patreon.com/Steven Larson or clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Access to bonus episodes, question threads for the Going In Raw podcast, and entry to our monthly wrestling predictions challenges. Join the Friendo Club today. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. Earlier in the day, we did a separate video about the latest lawsuit that has been targeted, that's targeted Vince McMahon and the WWE. It's pretty heavy stuff, so we decided to separate this episode where we're going to be talking about the fantasy Mickey Mouse land of pro wrestling.
All the trivial nonsense is in this episode, yes.
Right, exactly. Yes. And, of course, the stuff that might, trigger some of our audience. Really heavy stuff. So, if you're interested in that, it is available for you separate from this episode of Going In Raw. But on this episode of Going In Raw, we're going to talk about last night's AEW Dynamite on the road to Revolution. Interested to get your thoughts on the episode last night because it was kind of, I don't know, there's something odd about it and I can't really put my finger on it. And we're also going to talk about, so we haven't had a chance to talk about this since it happened because yesterday we put out the Friendo Awards. We filmed some stuff here, but we didn't do a news brief because I kind of wanted to see how this was going to shake out. And sure enough, today, which is interesting given that, the heft of the Vince McMahon stuff, happened today. Another thing happened today with this Cody Rhodes. So where to start on the Cody Rhodes thing?
So let's start yesterday. So yesterday, Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso had a report which claimed to lay out the top matches for this year's WrestleMania card, and it very much fell in line with what we saw teased on Raw as opposed to what had been the general assumption for months at this point. So,
right,
rather than Cody finishing the story, he'd have to wait on that. Roman was going to face The Rock, according to Barrasso's report. Cody then would instead face CM Punk. And then Seth Rollins, rather than face Punk, would defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther. I think I got that all right based on what Barrasso reported. And he claimed there were sources close to Triple H, which relayed that information to him. So shortly after Barrasso's report, WrestleVotes tweeted, quote, regarding the Sports Illustrated.
Okay, so just really quickly, and not even really quickly necessarily, let's pause there for a second.
Sure.
Because when I woke up and saw this, I know what y'all are thinking, Steve, big Cody mark, that guy, right? I wasn't even disappointed in the meat of what Justin was saying.
I think when we were watching Raw with the prospect of what they were potentially laying out, if it was for WrestleMania, I think, we were potentially quite excited about that. If Cody's not going to finish the story, CM Punk is a really good match for him and a really good story to tell.
I think it's an awesome idea to and to start understanding that Triple H as head of creative guy is really looking at the long game. And, much like, and look, comparable to as right now, we're probably going to next free chance you and I get, we're going to talk about Severance because from what I understand, you probably watched the finale by now.
I
right?
have, yes.
Okay. Well, we'll have a conversation about that.
That'll be our Friendo Club episode or Friendo Cast episode this week.
Maybe I've got another topic in mind, but
we'll
but
be part
just,
of the conversation then.
Having a beer with you, I just don't want to talk about Severance, to be honest with you. But that's a show where you watch a season, then you got to wait 2 years for the next season for that great cliffhanger.
If you even get one.
Yeah, if you even get one.
There might not even be another season.
Yeah.
You don't know. It's not a given with any of these TV shows anymore.
Right, exactly. And so like Succession, for example, you got to wait a whole chunk of time to get to the next season and eventually you get that payoff. And I wonder if Triple H is taking a much longer approach. As long as your week-to-week television is, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But when I saw this, I wasn't even like, oh, that's a bummer for Cody. I was like, why would anybody, put out such blatantly spoilery information, and B, because, look, Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful, Dave Meltzer, whoever, Justin Barrasso even, will talk about free agent signings, people going from one company to another, stuff that could be considered, oh, spoiler, this guy is coming into the company, and oh, I'm sad because it's not a surprise.
It's by and large the stuff happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's the norm. It's not like, oh, this match is not going to happen at WrestleMania. This match will have. Like, this is the biggest angle they can possibly have right now is Cody finishing his story.
Yeah.
And to see it so blatantly and kind of haphazardly, just sort of, Cody's not going to finish his story this year, I would have been as disappointed as if it said Cody's going to win the title from Roman this year and finish his story. Look, man, I know I do this for a living, so we got to be tuned into the news, but that's a step beyond.
Yeah.
I don't want to know that shit, even doing this for a living. Like, there are some things that, like match outcomes, I'd like to keep that shit, spoiler free if I possibly can. And by and large, most of the major outlets do that. So I was surprised and disappointed that this even was a thing, that this came out from Justin Brasler, who's got a very good track record.
There was an instance a few years ago, it was a while back, but not super long ago, where I feel like Meltzer had the entire WrestleMania card like a month in advance.
Yeah.
But that's a month in advance, but at that point, maybe 2 months in advance, like well enough in advance, you're like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. We haven't necessarily seen this all laid out on TV.
Yeah, right.
I don't think it was around like pre-Rumble, though.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Post-Rumble, you kind of get an idea of where it's going.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because you know who won the Rumbles at that point. So you get a sense, all right, they're going after that title probably. Here's 2 or 3 people that'll probably contend for the other title in the men's and women's division. You can kind of put it together.
And on top of that, because I vaguely remember that, even as little as a couple of years ago, it wasn't nearly as compelling as it is now. Mm-hmm. It's interesting now. Like, how is this going to shake out? Is Gunther going to challenge for the world title? Is Cody and Punk going to go after? Is Punk and Seth Rollins going to go? How is this going to shake out? They have us really interested now.
I know.
And therein kind of lies the difference. Like with Vince McMahon, it's like, okay, we're going to get this bullshit, man. It's probably Roman Brock or some bullshit like that,
Yeah.
And so, like, to do this now with this level of spoiler, material, I was disappointed and surprised, and it had nothing to do with the actual content. It was just like, why would this be out there? Why would Justin Barrasso even put this out there? Why would Triple H's lieutenants put this out there? That's a little bit weird.
That's the most confusing aspect, why anybody within Triple H's inner circle would be so willing to put that out there.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot about it that kind of seemed, I won't say initially suspect, but led you to believe, all right, why is this getting out here? You know what I mean?
Curious, yeah, a bit weird.
Yeah, curious about why that information was getting out at when it did. So shortly after that report, WrestleVotes tweeted the following, quote, regarding the Sports Illustrated WrestleMania 40 report, and after speaking with a few of my own contacts, did you hear that? They got an air purifier. It's like a jet engine in here.
I can't hear it.
All right, good.
I mean, I've got my own fan in here.
This is loud right now. But the blast off.
Oh, geez.
So, anyways, Rest of the Votes continues. I believe the following, those 3 matches could absolutely happen in Philadelphia. However, the set in stone nature of the article is a little naive, I've been told. Source also relayed that WWE is not happy with the report in general, especially labeling it as sources close to Triple H, as if he'd be so open with this type of specific information. This all seems like stuff that is for the creative brain trust, if you will.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Triple H, Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah.
Whoever else is at kind of the top of creative.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So anyways, today Justin Barrasso issued an update saying the following, quote, I reported what was detailed to me by previously reliable sources. It appears this was a deliberate attempt at misinformation or misinformation that is being spread through WWE itself. I apologize for the errors in yesterday's report. When posting these reports, the entirety of the information needs to be accurate.
He got played. It got played a little bit, Larson. And what did I talk about before when it came to reports about Seth Rollins being upset backstage about CM Punk and all this, that, the other?
Yeah.
Are they going to start using? Hey, let me check our email real quick. Oh, hold on. Look at this. WWE Insider 69 says Drew McIntyre is going to be challenging Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Larson, let's run the exclusive.
Oh, we got a scoop.
We got a scoop.
We got a scoop.
Oh, no. We got played.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'd like to think that we're too smart to get played like that, Larson.
Well, I don't know about that. I feel like that's kind of saying a lot.
They're like, why aren't these guys answering their email? Because it went to spam. Just like our WWE 2K invite.
We'd be having all sorts of scoops, quote-unquote scoops sent our way. So I'll go in the spam folder.
Yeah, it's like right next to the, a Nigerian prince, asking for our social security numbers.
So, I guess, let's assume for a second that there is some truth. It wasn't necessarily
kind of disappointed now. I kind of like the scenario laid out.
That's what I'm going to say. Let's assume for a second that what Barrasso reported, what we saw on Raw, is the direction they were heading.
Yeah.
Would they consider changing anything?
Because of
this.
What?
Because
no,
I wouldn't think so either.
No,
if they have a plan in place, they'll stick to the plan. Yeah,
I think it's like look, man, a deliberate attempt at misinformation or misinformation that's being spread through WWE itself. Man, I don't know how I feel about that. On one hand, part of me really likes that they're being creative. Look, let's be completely clear, okay? Leaked story plans are not serious, right? It's like, oh no, we've been spoiled the direction of Gunther's getting a big push. It's not serious stuff. It's not real life
There's
stuff.
not national security implications from these leaks.
No. And so for us to generate a thumbnail and a title based off of Cody Rhodes to resurrect a 24/7 title. And then the next day, rumor killer on that, to me is the fun part of pro wrestling.
Yes.
That's when it's fun. That's when you and me, 20 years ago, were on scoops.net and like, what, Val Venus supposed to join DX? That sounds weird, but maybe not.
But was it going to happen?
Is it going to happen? DDP joining the Wolfpack on the house show circuit, but then he didn't join it on Nitro?
Hardy Boys joining DX? It doesn't happen.
That shit to us was more interesting than what we saw on TV. And this is during the Attitude Era when it was like, pretty exciting stuff. So that's the stuff that I always find very interesting because it allows us now to talk about creative aspects of WWE programming. And that's what we enjoy talking about.
Yes.
So, on the other hand, is it going to get to a point where, well, I just feel like, the reporters out there are going to have to do like, thank God we're not that.
I know. This is why we don't do the scoops.
We're not trying to get scoops from anybody.
No.
Well, look, we've had a couple scoops come our way. We do not touch them.
Listen. You know me, Steve. I'm an anxious person as is.
Yeah, man.
Highly anxious. Imagine
Big
the anxiety that I would project and you'd have to deal with if we had to worry about getting scoops right.
Nightmare scenario.
I wouldn't sleep. I'd be texting you at 3 a.m. Do you think the scoop is true? Should we run with this?
Man, we've been doing this for 10 years. Could you imagine the laughter that would occur if all of a sudden going around was like, hey, we got an exclusive. Get out of here, you idiots.
Yeah, I know. I'm supposed to take these guys seriously? No.
Oh.
They're not journalists.
So the actual reporters and journalists in this field are going to have to be doing a little bit more of the due diligence to make sure they're not getting played by Triple H and his brain trust.
Well, I mean, even Meltzer, ran some bad info.
Man, that dude. That dude. Oh, man, that's all I'm going to say about him. That dude.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Well, that was just last year.
He's got to try to find his due diligence under that messy ass office of his. Was that an attempt at a Kawhi Leonard laugh? Because that was pretty good. Oh man. So yeah. I'll be honest with you. Like the way they were setting it up was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was excited. It was something different. It wasn't what had been expected for months.
Dude, you know what the biggest scam is, though? So, like, I remember yesterday, Sean Ross said, I didn't verify this. I didn't do my own due diligence, but, Sean probably...
Steve. You're not a journalist.
Exactly. But Sean tweeted out that the betting odds shifted because of this report.
Yep.
Who the fuck is even like this is allowed. Like betting on fake shit is super allowed. Like that's like we've talked about betting odds for a long time.
Yeah.
Because they've been out there, and there was that period of time when they were spot on. No matter how
they were
weird
always
they
spot
were,
on.
it was like, oh, this totally happened.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what scam is going on with all that.
I don't know how you can bet on things that are predetermined.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
I don't understand that.
Absolutely crazy.
I don't understand it, and especially back a few years ago where they were. If there was a late swing, guess what? That's what happened.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Basically 90% of the time, if not more. It was crazy.
Do you now that I don't know when is our Royal Rumble predictions challenge form going?
I'm gonna get
up?
the form up today.
Okay, awesome. Because here's the thing: whoever gets number one, whoever
Here, while
wins,
I do that, I'm gonna turn this air purifier off. It's driving me crazy.
Okay, cool.
I'll be right
Whoever wins the Big Blue Predictions Challenge for the Royal Rumble will get this autographed old school Going In Raw logo hat. The logo is old school, not the hat. I have not worn this. It's fresh purchased. I think I tried it on once, but that was one time. It's going to be autographed by me and Larson. Larson is aiming to win this thing. and but a lot of other friendos are too. And so yeah, you can win this. But the question for me or for you, Larson, is does this new revelation of misinformation, will it cause, because we put up our predictions for the Rumble yesterday and they were for entertainment purposes only. They're not solid predictions.
Here's the thing is that we filmed those before the Barrasso report came out.
Yep.
We filmed those Tuesday after our Raw recap. Yep. The Barrasso report came out yesterday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we were going by what we saw on Raw, and based on what I saw on Raw, I managed to convince myself that the predictions I put out there could happen because there might be so many things not yet settled regarding the Undisputed Universal Championship picture.
Yeah.
That they might think, okay, we don't know exactly. It's going to be Rock. It's going to be Cody taking on Roman. And since we're not sure about that, we might want to keep Cody CM Punk available to us if we want to go that direction. If The Rock is available to do Roman, therefore, let's find an opponent, lock in an opponent for Seth coming out of the Rumble. Gunther makes all the sense.
Yeah, I still really like Gunther. I really do. I don't know if I might go safe and say Punk. I don't know. I do appreciate, though, that this misinformation, what they set up on Raw, where the various directions they're going towards, I do appreciate that. And on top of that, how was the actual Rumble going to be booked? Like, what twists and turns are we going to get in that? How long is the Rumble usually? An hour long?
Yeah, roughly an hour.
How many twists and turns are we going to get in that period of time? What misdirection is there going to be early on versus later on in the match? I'm really looking forward to seeing how they put this thing together and where we land in the end. But there's a lot of unknowns. I just don't know how this is all going to shake out. And I love that going into the Rumble. And if they're going to try to play a little bit of cat and mouse with the dirt sheets to get there, I'm all for it. They're going to have to do a little bit more work. Not as much, we don't have to do more work, which is great. So, more content.
Yeah. Maybe there was such a assumption amongst the WWE fan base. Cody will finish his story. It'll be Punk and Seth.
Yeah.
And rather than just saying, oh, well, that's fine. Maybe there is a little misinformation getting out there to cause some doubt in people's minds about what could happen on Saturday.
We also filmed a new episode of Hot Takes yesterday.
Yeah.
And one of them that I just completely, neglected to add in there, and I meant to, was several people saying sometimes you just need to pull the trigger. Triple H takes too long with his stories. Man, we had heard, through many, many shoot interviews that Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, they'd spend all that time on the road talking about the future of wrestling and where it should go. And now you've got two of those guys running, the largest company, creatively speaking, and dictating where it's going to go in the future. There's a lot to appreciate in NXT right now, except for the venue. The venue's terrible.
Yeah, it is.
But it has to make you wonder, these days, with so much entertainment available, and consumers of that entertainment, having longer waits for payoffs in general. You know, Infinity War hits. It's a cliffhanger on $1 billion movie.
Yeah, wait 2 years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then you got to wait for the next $1 billion movie, and that ends up being the biggest $1 billion movie of all time, right? Maybe something else surpassed it. I don't know. I think Avatar 2 might have surpassed it. But you have to ask yourself, given that waiting for the payoff has become somewhat normalized, what if the guy to beat Roman isn't Cody? What if it's nobody on main roster right now? What if they wait 5 more years for Trick Williams?
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at Trick, he's got the size, he's got the look, the charisma.
Yeah.
He's basically, at this point anyways, and I know it's early, but I could see Trick being crowd proof too, because he's got such likability.
Yeah.
And what if it's a situation where there's this epic Mad King Roman Reigns, and even the guy who looks from head to toe like he should be the guy to beat Roman Reigns, the knight in shining armor, and he's got the dad and the legacy, and he came back from building his own company, and even he couldn't get it done, and they have him try like several times, and it might piss off people at the end of WrestleManias, but they'll come back for more because the ratings are still good, business still good, and they tell this story of Trick Williams, the young prince who shows up to the kingdom and he has to slay Roman Reigns, and that's an even bigger moment. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. That is there any chance that they're going to go super long and they're re-envisioning the language of pro wrestling?
I mean, to a degree, I guess it's possible.
Maybe I'm crazy, dude.
We'll find out at WrestleMania if Roman faces The Rock or whoever. Even if he's going to retain, I doubt he'll face Cody again this year. Because I get telling longer stories, but you don't want to do that at the expense of potentially alienating your fan base. And I think if Roman beats Cody in the main event of WrestleMania 2 years in a row, a portion of their fan base could be like, the hell with this. We've invested so much in Cody, not once but twice now, and both times you've let us down. Why should I invest again? There's the danger of that happening. There's that risk.
Because, okay, but let me interject here. Yeah, but they're going to come back to see what Cody says on Monday.
Yeah, probably.
And if they set something up intriguing on that, when he says that, they'll come back for more. And yeah, I know there's going to be plenty of people in the comments right now saying, they don't do it this year. I'm not. Thank you. That's a great impression of people writing comments. Yeah, you got to do the underbite too.
Like that. But let me say this. That being said, assuming Roman retains, but not at Cody's expense, then it's obvious at that point they want Roman to pass Hogan.
Yeah, sure.
It might be a situation from a creative standpoint. Ratings on SmackDown are good. Ratings on Raw are good, based on what we're doing.
Not going to give a shit about ratings once they hit Netflix. By the way,
got that right. The whole if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If things are going good, if Roman showing up 10 times a year holding that title isn't a creative burden on the product. In fact, him showing up is such an event that people will want to tune in for it. And if they have enough going on creatively around that's intriguing for people, who's to say when he's going to drop it?
I know.
We don't know. I think the assumption will be Cody because that's his mission. That's why he came back. Mm-hmm. It's not to win the World Heavyweight Championship. That's not the legacy. He wants the legacy title, which is now wrapped up in Roman's belt.
Yeah.
And if they think there's so much more money in the chase for Cody that they'll extend that chase for another 1, 2, 3, 5 years, then they'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
but if they think the time is right now to do it, they'll do it now.
I just think that I'll put it this way. I think that there are so much more sharper minds at the helm now.
Yeah.
Than we've basically had since like the 90s,
And that's one of the reasons why once on Raw they teased the Cody Punk feud. for me, I feel like a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, because I was always struggling with the idea, well, if Cody doesn't face Roman, then who's it going to be for him?
Yeah.
Oh, Phil? All right. That's high profile. That's huge for both of them. Depending on who wins and who loses, that can be interesting stories for either.
I mean, dude, and I know, our audience is probably going to poo-poo this, but not a lot of people in the arena, I don't think would, but Randy Orton one-on-one. We've talked about that. If they are not going to get The Rock, Randy's a big deal. He's huge. He's the Viper. He's a 14-time guy.
Yeah.
I think I honestly have faith that they're creative, can concoct stuff, because they have concocted stuff. And, there's been times when it felt like it was spinning its wheels, but they've also, when they have to generate that big story, they have succeeded in doing so. So, I don't know. It remains to be seen. We're still very early into the, Triple H unfettered. We might be heading into the, Vince McMahon is completely gone era. But it seems like he's nowhere to be found in creative these days, at the very least. So, it remains to be seen what sort of creative philosophy long-term they're going to bring to the product. Are they going to, once the Hogan record, I mean, if you look at 2023, Cody didn't win, and yet the world kept on moving and the business kept on booming. It kept on getting bigger and bigger. I know that the Netflix deal ended up being a little bit of smoke and mirrors with how much they gave Netflix based off of like what they actually got back. Like, $5 billion. Yeah, that's a lot of money, but they gave a lot of stuff up.
Yeah.
But still, that's not to say business isn't really, really good for them right now. So, yeah, I don't know, man. If Roman Reigns can show up 6 times a year and the business continue, we'll get plenty of people in the comments will be like, oh, I'm not going to pay attention to that. Well, if other people do and they are able to continue to build their business, because if they don't, they're going to have to pivot. They're going to have to pivot.
Yeah.
But, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what they do long term, and I think WrestleMania might give us a hint as to how they're going to approach that.
I think so. If Triple H is going to be, as The Rock put it, a long gamer, then we'll see Roman retain at Mania, and they'll keep pushing whatever the end date of his title run down the line until they think it's probably like absolutely necessary from a business perspective.
It's the Bruno thing.
Could be.
What it is. Yeah,
it could be.
Trick Williams in 2028.
All right.
That's it. Hey, that lines up with a career, though. That lines up with a career,
Yeah.
3-4 years from now.
Yep. All right. I guess we got to talk about Dynamite now, right?
Yeah, let's talk about Dynamite.
So there's...
What's up with Dynamite?
Let's talk about this, because I think a lot of because something about Dynamite last night did feel off.
Right?
It felt like you could actually really feel, for the first time, at least from my perspective, how small that crowd was.
That was noticeable.
It came like they usually try their damnedest to hide.
Do we know what the attendance was?
I don't know what the final one was, but I think even as recent as yesterday morning, it was still under 2,000 for a building that holds 8.
Yeah.
And it was really noticeable last night. Really noticeable. It sounded like 10 people were singing Kaze Ninare when Suzuki came to the ring.
Yeah.
And that's one thing in general you can count on for AEW shows is an enthusiastic crowd.
Yeah.
And when you have such a huge venue, 8,000 seat venue, and you maybe got it a quarter full, it's going to sound quiet. It just is.
Yeah.
And it's not like AEW really mics their crowd especially well anyways.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When they got a building that's much more full.
Yeah, this is looking pretty gnarly. I'm on the post from WrestleTix.
Yeah.
And they actually encourage people. And there's no snarkiness involved. It's just, this is information.
Yeah.
So it was it was 2,187 as of 24 hours ago.
Okay.
Had been distributed, tickets distributed. They asked people to post pictures of, wide shots of the crowd or lack thereof. It's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
It is pretty gnarly.
And I know Meltzer. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say my perception of what I was watching during that opening segment with Joe in the promo Dude, I hate making comparisons like this because people take and they run with it, but it did feel kind of TNA-ish in some, respects. And I know, look, Revolution, I think, is going to be a sellout. They keep on opening up more areas for Revolution.
15,000 tickets to that show.
Yeah. But it ain't across the board, yeah.
I'm sure All In selling pretty well, too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just, their weekly television stops. It might just be because I saw something today, and maybe it was from Meltzer, too. I don't recall. That they're not going to hit the smaller markets as often. They're going to concentrate more so on the larger markets. Because where were they last night? Or they're in Savannah, Georgia. And then for Collision this week, they're in the Shreveport, Louisiana metropolitan area. Neither of them huge markets.
Yeah,
it's not like Atlanta or New Orleans, for example. Large markets in Georgia and Louisiana.
They're going to be in Vegas Super Bowl weekend.
And that show apparently is, as of yesterday, sold less than 1,000 tickets because of Super Bowl weekend.
I know.
Like, in one sense, I understand. Hey, a bunch of people are traveling to this city to attend this event on Sunday. If we have an event the day before, there might be a lot of people that will attend that event because there's a lot of people coming in from out of town. Issue is, there's probably 10 million things to do in Vegas already.
Yeah.
And probably 20 million things to do in Vegas Super Bowl weekend, not including going to a wrestling show.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And it's not even in Vegas. It's not even on the Strip. It's not even downtown. It's out in Henderson. It's in the suburbs.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that.
So if you're staying on the Strip in Vegas, you got to get in the car. You got to drive the 20, 30 minutes to Henderson. And then you got to drive back.
Yeah.
If you stay on the Strip, you don't want to leave the Strip.
No, you just walk up and down, go to
You walk up and down, maybe you get on the tram to go from one end to the other quickly.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You don't want to get in the car.
No.
No.
A lot of these people probably aren't going to have cars,
No.
Yeah.
They take an Uber from the airport to their hotel and they walk.
Yeah.
Or take the tram.
Yeah.
Anyways. Because even the Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, where the Super Bowl's at, is not too far from the south end of the Strip. It's right along the freeway there.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, I know Meltzer spoke about how recently about how bad AEW's attendance has been. And I mean, at this juncture, so the last 2 weeks, Joe has kind of kayfabed the return of the rankings.
Yeah.
And he hasn't necessarily said it in so many words, but he's saying, hey, we're going to have a new way now going forward for championship contenders. You got to prove you're worthy. You got to prove you're worthy of stepping up to champ. And the implication is you got to get some wins. You got to have a good resume. And the natural, if you follow that to its logical conclusion, it's the return of the rankings.
Yeah.
I get it. And they were talking about the rankings extensively, although there was some kind of a disconnect where some were saying, oh, it's the beginning of the year, rankings reset. And then you got Darby saying, we're 27-0. We should be number one.
That's one thing that AEW, man, they can never get people on the same page. It's like, I forget what an example is, but just recently there was another example where it was like the Continental Classic. Wait a second. What is it for? Eddie's putting up titles in every match he's in?
I know.
Or no, it's the entire thing. He just put these titles up for the entire tournament. Is it a title? It's so there's a lot there it happens from time to time, I'll say. And it felt a little off and you're right. For the longest time, my common refrain in response to people saying, oh, nobody's get there. Look at these pictures of like nobody's there. They just film it well. They film it, but at a certain point, like when it's that few people, I don't know what you can do because it did feel empty last night.
It felt empty. It translated through the TV camera how empty that place was. And it wasn't like they had like wide shots where you could see all the empty seats. You just felt it. You felt it. You saw the scope of the arena in the live shot in the wide shots.
Yeah.
They tarp off the upper deck and light it so you only really see the first 10 rows. But even that, I don't know. It just felt like they were wrestling in an empty building almost.
It did.
It's if it's like a temperature check of the enthusiasm for the product, it's not looking too hot right now,
And at a certain point, look, man, I was the first person to say, there's so much anecdotal evidence to suggest that they're just dog shit at their local marketing.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you got to start looking at the product itself.
Yeah.
Because marketing can only do so much. And what I saw last night, look, man, I'm not going to complain that we got Edge versus Minoru Suzuki. That's a weird dream matchup that people probably never thought they were going to see. Yeah. And it was a fine match.
Yeah.
One thing that was kind of striking to me, because I watched it late. I watched it probably I started around 9:30 or so at night on the West Coast. And I hit up social media as much as the next guy. Nobody was talking about the show last night. Nobody was saying anything about Dynamite last night, and that's sort of where I was left with it, was there's nothing really to talk about because they didn't really do anything. Like, Samoa Joe comes out, he says, hey, there's going to be a new way that you can that you can now challenge for the title. He's got to have the credentials. And then Hook comes out, and he just says, you won. I lost. And then, like, you know,
we'll see you down the line. I'll see you down the line or something like that.
I don't know. His face was completely away from the camera.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess he said he'd see down, and then he throws a bunch of security people around. And I'm like, okay. So, like, okay, you know, keep an eye on Hook, I guess.
Yeah.
I did appreciate that Joe, you know, said, who raised that kid? And Taz just laughs. I raised that kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was pretty funny. But it was not as strong, I think, as an opening as like, or as it wasn't as strong as where we left last week, Joe beating Hook and Hangman and Swerve out there. Although, again, kind of the one thing that I really appreciate last night is that wherever there's a Hangman, there's a Swerve, and wherever there's a Swerve, there's a Hangman.
Yeah.
You know, those poor bastards are kind of keeping the intrigue alive in AEW.
They are. I mean, if the idea is that 2024 is going to be tail end of 2023 for that matter, the story of Paige and Swerve and their never-ending feud, that's a solid thing to build your show around. Because they're two of the more captivating performers AEW has right now. One thing I liked, and maybe this is intentional, maybe it's not, but it's subtle, and I like it. And I hope it's intentional. Through the first part of, up until the coffin match at All In, Swerve would have a lot of high-profile matches against legends of the business. He faced Tanahashi at one point, leading up to Forbidden Door, and he lost those matches. Mm-hmm. Last night on Dynamite, he faced a legend, Jeff Hardy, and won. So I don't know if it's an intentional bit of storytelling where now Swerve beats those competitors as opposed to losing to them in the prior year, or if it's just a situation where Tony Khan's like, who could you have Swerve face tonight? That'd be cool. Oh, Jeff Hardy. Without putting the thought into, is this a story beat or not?
I will say this. Regardless of whether or not it's intentional, given where he is now versus where he was even 6 months ago, I'd be shocked if he walked into any match and lost now.
Yeah.
I mean, he might not win the triple threat at Revolution. I don't think he's going to eat the pin, though. And if he does, it's going to be like muscle buster, and two buckshots. Yeah.
And then Joe hits Paige with the muscle buster, and then Swerve, who at that point is pretty much already unconscious, gets put in the clutch and just passes out.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Before, like, even if he went in there with Mox, I don't see him taking the L. Like, it just seems like he's being elevated such to the point where, you know, he's not going to have a forbidden door match against a Tanahashi and lose. If they, you know, I don't know what they're going to. Forbidden Door's 5 months away.
Say he faces Shingo, a former world champion in New Japan, and wins.
That's what it's going to be. It ain't going to be like Swerve's going to take on. Yeah, it's not like Swerve's going to take on Naito and lose. Like, that's not going to happen. It's going to be him versus a high-profile name, and he's going to win.
Yeah,
that's where he's positioned now. So whether it's intentional or not, by virtue of his own, you know, rise in popularity and stature, he's much further along than he was 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, which is good to see. You want to build stars like that.
Absolutely.
It does look like Sting and Darby Allin are going to head into Revolution as tag champions.
Yep.
They are facing the current tag champions, Bill Big and Ricky Starks.
In 2 weeks.
A guy who completely seems checked out at this point. In 2 weeks, I firmly believe that Sting and Darby Allin are going to win those, walk into Revolution as tag champions, only to
retain.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know. What did you think of the Young Bucks stuff last night? I felt like they were maybe trying to go for a bit more ridiculous. Certainly while they were watching Sting and Darby's promo when they're on the headsets and like directing camera and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it did. It seemed like they were less earnest.
Yeah.
Nick never was. Matt was trying to do something, and it feels even like, he now he has a goatee instead of just a silly mustache. And he's wearing more of like a Miami Vice thing than like,
that blazer he had last night was great.
It was pretty great.
Powder blue. It was great.
So I don't know exactly what they're trying to accomplish. They're being, prick EVPs backstage, but sort of comedic. They always came off best as comedic heels anyways. They always, especially Nick. And if that's the route they're going to go, I'm cool with it. I mean, what else are they going to do that's going to be anything worth a damn?
Yeah.
In terms of story. So might as well give us some comedic heel Young Bucks. There's probably going to be some fun cheating in their matches. And maybe they'll bully people using their EVP powers. I don't know. I think you brought that up last week as a possibility. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not anti it. What I saw this week, it was silly, and I'm down with silly. I'm cool with that.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into it.
All right.
Show opens up. Samoa Joe comes to the ring, drops a promo, says, "Hello, Savannah. My name is Samoa Joe, and I stand before you, your undisputed, undeniable AEW World Champion. Tonight is a night of celebration because you see a new champion endeavor we embark upon today. No more will opportunities be given." Gosh, he's so good on the mic.
He is. He really is.
No, tonight they must be earned. That's why all your favorite AEW superstars are going to come to this ring. They're going to battle tooth and nail, all for an opportunity at my championship gold. And though I can appreciate ambition, I come here with a warning. You see, what you think you're getting is an opportunity at a championship. I'm here to tell you it's an opportunity to have the worst night of your life, because anybody who earns their right against me, they're going to come to this ring. I'm going to do to them just like I did to Hook last week. I'm going to beat you down unmerciful. I'm going to strangle you unconscious, and I will take everything from you. Then Hook's music plays. Hook's signal is projected on the roof.
Hook signal, yay or nay, Larson?
No.
Yeah, I hate to be a fuddy-duddy. I hate to be a buzzkill, a fun killer. I'm nay on that.
There's nothing that unifies the Hook signal to what Hook does.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's just like, hey, it would be cool, Hook signal. Yeah, but why?
Yeah, right.
If you can't answer the question why, then don't do it. And if your answer to why is because it's cool, that's not an answer.
Batman doesn't wear gray sweatpants, last I checked.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, he comes down, Hook comes down, and he says, last week, you won. I lost. Offers Joe his hand. Joe shakes it. Hook pulls him in. Or he pulls himself into Joe, because Joe doesn't really move that much. He says, I don't know when, and I don't know where, but I'll see you again. And then Joe says, I bet you will. If you'll excuse me, I came out here to survey the field so you can get back to the line, back to the end of the line. Security, get the unworthy out of my ring. He leaves. Security comes in. Hook checks them all, locks some dude in a red rum. And then AEW staff security gets in the ring, and Hook's like, bah.
It's like the contractors for the night he'll wreck, but the full-time AEW security is like, I'm not going to mess with these guys.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
Then our first match tonight is Hangman Adam Page taking on Penta. Joe, leaving the ring, goes to commentary, and Joe is always great on commentary.
He's amazing. Yeah, because his reactions over like what potentially could be looming on his horizon with Hangman Adam Page, getting caught with a made in Japan and kicking out of that.
Yeah. And Joe always kind of relishes when people are do something like super violent in the ring. He loves it.
Oh, yeah.
He loves
for
it.
Sure. Yeah.
He pops huge over it. So, the finish here sees Penta leaps into a dead eye on the apron, and then Page follows the moonsault to the floor, puts Penta back in the ring, misses a buckshot, hits a lariat, and then follows with a buckshot to get the win. As always, with AEW, you can't quibble with the quality of the in-ring work. All the wrestling is really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just how much story you're given in advance of those matches to care about the outcome is really the thing that needs improvement.
Yeah, I agree. After that, we had an Orange Cassidy interview. Renee asked him about Roderick Strong's challenge, and Orange says, my reaction is, okay, I'll wrestle you Roddy at Revolution. That's like 6 weeks away. I would have wrestled you last week, but you want to wait that long? I'm not going to wait. I'm going to keep wrestling because that's what I do. I asked Tony, hey, get some of my friends, some of my enemies, some like kind of friends and like kind of enemies, put them in a match on Rampage, and the winner of that's going to face me on Collision on Saturday. I guess he's going to do it. I got to go. Trent's about to wrestle Wardlow. Have you seen Wardlow? He's big. I like his interviews. They're funny.
Yeah. Then we get the Young Bucks backstage. They're walking. Somebody hands them the rundown for tonight's show. Then Alex Marvez steps up to him and asks, hey, what's your plan of action for as EVPs? And Nick says, oh, plan? Let's talk about your plan of action by showing a little more respect by calling us by our passport names. I hadn't heard that phrase before.
That's a good one. Yeah, neither had I.
Nicholas and Matthew Jackson. So then Matt follows Alex as the last two remaining surviving EVPs. It's pretty funny. There's chatter, there's buzz. I don't know if you've heard. Backstage morale is through the roof. We fixed the catering problem. Did you have lunch? It was delicious, right? You're welcome. Most importantly, we're here to make sure the show runs smoothly. Let's have a killer show. So they walk off, and they walk into Top Flight. Yeah. And Matt goes, whoa, look who's showing up late tonight. Did you just get here? And Darius says, no, we've been here since 1 o'clock. Matt responds, why aren't you wearing your gear? Where are your damn credentials? And Dante, just kind of under his breath, goes, credentials? You guys hired us. And Nick says, next time, it's going to be a fine, but we love you guys. And Matt's like, oh, we're just kidding. We love you guys. So Top Flight walks off. Matt looks over at Nick and goes, we're killing it.
Killing it. After that, we had Trent versus Wardlow. Wardlow comes down. Man. I've seen people say it, and at first I was like, nah, it's fine. But yeah, Adam Cole limping around those crutches, man. It does really sort of diminish the threat aspect of the Undisputed Kingdom.
Well, there's a spot in this match where Trent hits Wardlow with the suicide dive, and Wardlow has to look back to make sure he doesn't fall into Adam Cole while sitting ringside. Aww. It was like really obvious because he hits him, and Wardlow kind of like really stumbles back, but he doesn't have to because he's huge. Yeah. Trent hits him, and Trent's not as huge as Wardlow. So he's selling the suicide dive, but he has to glance over and fall to his left to make sure he doesn't tumble into Adam Cole.
Yeah, dude. What, man, I know we criticize AEW, but man, they do get hit with that injury bug, don't they? At the least opportune time.
There's a way you could do this that even with the broken leg, you could have Adam Cole seem like a threat.
Okay. Him personally, physically?
You got to look like a Bond villain at this point, you know?
Put him on the Tron?
Something.
Wardlow.
Say,
Chugs commands thee.
Trent, if you do a suicide dive, you're going to fall into a tank of sharks. Something
now
like that.
I'll tell you about my evil plan.
Exactly. The whole time, I'll say this, the whole time Roddy was in the wheelchair, I know it was all played for laughs, him and the Kingdom, but the way he would just kind of go unhinged at any moment's notice, he felt like more of a threat that Adam Cole does now.
That is actually an excellent point because you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So if they had Adam Cole kind of assume the Roddy role in the wheelchair.
Yeah. Furiously barking orders. What are you doing, you idiot? Get over there. That kind of stuff.
It would probably work better than him just chilling ringside, sitting in a folding chair. Book him like a Bond villain.
Yeah. Yeah, have him assume the wheelchair. That's not
because
a bad idea.
Because this is all some master plan he orchestrated.
Yeah.
Then why did the plan stop once the belt got off Max? Like, shouldn't he still be scheming and planning to find a way to get Warlow the title opportunity so he can claim the title?
I just wonder if it's Tony Khan who's like, man, my two marquee pieces are both huge, like massively injured. Whatever.
We'll just ride this out and see what we do on the other side of it.
Yeah, just figure it out. Yeah, it is. It does not make for the most compelling television when
when Adam Cole comes out 2 weeks in a row and drops pretty much the same promo.
Yeah, that doesn't help either. Yeah,
I understand laying out what their ambitions are, but you need a plan in place to achieve those ambitions. And I don't feel like from the Undisputed Kingdom standpoint, there's any plan.
Well, I mean, no, I kind of understand. Wardlow's the rankings are back, right? So Wardlow's gonna rack up wins, get to the world title, and then they'll figure it out there. It is sort of like in the process of enacting the plan that things are not terribly compelling because Roderick Strong has challenged Orange Cassidy. That's 6 weeks away.
That's true.
And this relates to that because Trent is Orange Cassidy's friend. And in fact, once Trent gets hit with the last ride powerbomb, gets beat by Wardlow, he's setting him up for another powerbomb after the actual
last ride
win.
was nasty too.
It was awful. Best friends step in, the Undisputed Kingdom call off Wardlow, and they beat Feet. But it's not like there necessarily is an escalation of between Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
He's referenced, and Orange Cassidy says, "Yeah, I'm going to have a match in between now and then, anyways." And Orange Cassidy is generally speaking kind of an anti-escalation guy, anyways. So I don't know. It is kind of a mess, and you have to wonder. I'm sure they're doing the best they can with what they've got and what the plans were.
I mean, that's one thing AEW in the past. When they have plans in place, and whether it be injuries or backstage fights or whatever. Once those plans have to be scrapped, they have yet to show the propensity to improvise.
Yeah, right.
On the fly to anything resembling satisfying results.
Yeah.
And that a lot of that could come with experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Tony Khan just doesn't have that experience at this point.
I agree. After that, commentary plugs this week's Collision matches. Then we had Cope. Did anything stand out to you in the Collision matches?
Yuji Nagata is going to wrestle Bryan Danielson.
That's cool.
It'll be really cool.
That's cool.
It'll be great because they're both great, but it'll be cool. It'd be an interesting thing, but there's no story behind it, really.
Yeah, right, yeah. Then we had a Cope Suzuki video package, followed by a really fun Tony Storm, Deonna Purrazzo sit-down interview. Tony saying they do a thing where, they're sitting on either sides of Renee Paquette on the stage, and they split screen the color saturation. So on Tony's side, it's black and white, and on Purrazzo's side, when they go wide, it's in color, which is pretty clever.
Yeah.
Tony says, Tony isn't full on just, she's absolutely hilarious in this. She knows this character so well.
Oh, yeah.
She says, I'm going to speak first, Renee. I have a massage booked for 11. Deonna, I believe you were recently body shamed, which I think is ridiculous because there's so much more to shame about you. Yes, we do have history, but that doesn't mean you can waltz in here and use our past friendship to get yourself a title shot. I've had many friends, all of them less talented than me. You may be the greatest technical wrestler in the world today, but let me make one thing clear. If you step into that ring with me, I'll twist your lips so hard you'll need an epidural. Oh, my God. And fucking Renee was hella laughing at that one.
Yeah. So then Deonna responds, "This is insane. I didn't come to AEW to make friends. I came to become the AEW Women's World Champion. It just so happens that the champion used to be my friend. Well, I have no problem earning a title shot and winning arm by arm. This isn't the Tony Storm I want to wrestle, this delusional sham. I want to wrestle the Tony Storm who lived on dojo floors with me. I want the Tony Storm that moved to America and lived in my house. That Tony Storm was arguably one of the best in the world, and that Tony Storm is the one I want to beat for the AEW World title. Women's title. So, Tony, I'm begging you, please dig down deep and find that version of yourself. And if you need any further reminder, take a look at your ankle, because I'm sure it looks a hell of a lot like mine." So Deonna shows off a tattoo on her ankle. Tony has the same one.
That was pretty clever. I like that. They got the matching tattoo, yeah.
That was good. So Deonna continues, "You might have everyone here fooled, Tony, but not me."
And Tony says, "You know what, Deonna? You can take your little tattoo and blow it right out your bum hole." And then Tony throws her shoe at Deonna. Deonna throws one of her shoes back. Deonna looks for a Venus de Milo. Mariah pulls Tony to safety. And then Deonna hits Luther with a big Steve Thunder pump kick. Holds up the AEW Women's title. She tosses it aside. And Luther picks it up. That pump kick was rad.
It was. Yeah, a good pump kick's hard to beat, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then after that, we had a Mox promo. It's pretty much just him saying, "Hey, I'll try to keep up with me. I'm pretty awesome."
That's that's pretty much
really
it.
I mean,
call anybody out specifically.
No, what's kind of the finishing bit here? He says, "You know what elite means? It's the name of the company, right? Maybe look it up in the dictionary. A lot of people come here and they don't know what it means from the start. They think it's just a big party. Well, party's over. 2024, I'll personally maim and pulverize and torture anybody who can't get with the program and keep up. Every time I step into that ring, I give everything of myself. When I step in the ring Friday night, I will cut my heart out and leave it in there and bleed out if that's what it's going to take to give every single bit of my heart and soul to people who paid their hard-earned money for what's supposed to be the best wrestling show in the world. I'm going to do it every single time.
I'm going to do it every single time. Yeah, I wonder if they just had this promo like in the vault because it's like the 25th of January already, and he's like in 2024. Anyways, like it's new. Even Hangman last night said "New Year, New Me." Yeah. We're only about a week away from not being able to say "New Year, New Me."
So, what in your estimation, when is the firm deadline for no more Happy New Year, no more New Year, New Me?
So, look, man, I'll give a guy like Hangman Adam Page some leeway. For him, end of January 31st. Happy New Year for anybody across the board. I'd say 10 days. I'd say January 10th.
I was going to say 10 days as well. Yeah.
Right? I kind of feel like that's it.
Yeah.
New AEW signees, Taya Valkyrie and Johnny TV had a promo because we haven't seen these people in forever. Taya says, good evening, Dynamite. Allow me to reintroduce us to you all. I'm Taya Valkyrie, and this is Johnny TV, the most TV-ready couple in AEW. Now, I've been watching, and you guys are really starting to piss me off. Do you see that girl is trying to jump to the front of the line? Johnny says, no butts, no cuts, no coconuts. And Taya says, Dan, I'm not another one of those dumb girlies who don't know what the Virtuosa is. I know her very well, so I challenge you to a little match next week on Dynamite. After that, you can get back to the end of the line.
Yep.
So, hey, look, at this point, they need all the characters they can get.
I know.
And the fact that Johnny TV's been there for as long as he has, and they really haven't done anything with him,
I know,
it's kind of crazy.
I know. Next up, we had Swerve taking on Jeff Hardy. It was a fun bout.
Yeah, this is cool.
Swerve gets the win here. It's maybe a bit more competitive than I would have thought, but it's Jeff Hardy, I guess.
Oh, Jeff Hardy's kind of a big deal.
Legend. I get it.
Like that match, the match against him and Darby on Friday was, something to behold. It was really pretty great. He's got a lot. He's got some left in the tank, Larson. And
but here's the way to look at it. Coming off that match with Darby Allin, would it have made sense from a storyline perspective since he got beat up so bad in that match? If he was selling the effects of that match, Swerve took advantage a bit more.
So I agree, but the precedent here is Swerve beats the living shit out of a 55-year-old man, and that dude just gets right back up and has a competitive match with Swerve moments later. I'm talking about Dustin Runnels.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah. I mean, dude, you're absolutely right. But also, you got Swerve and Jeff Hardy. You let him go. You let him go and have a match. If nothing else, Tony Khan has given us a bunch of these 10, 15, 20 years from now. Hey, you guys remember in AEW, Swerve Strickland had a Jeff Hardy match? It's like, oh, wow, he did have that match. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Minoru Suzuki and Edge fought. That's cool.
Never would have thought that.
Weird-ass dream matches.
You got that right. So Swerve gets the win here. Swerve calls for a twist of fate. Jeff reverses it into a backslide, gets the 2. Then Jeff hits like 10 jawbreakers. Swerve responds with a rolling flatliner, suplex, and then the Swerve stomp to get the win. There is some fun stuff. The bit with the ring steps and stuff was fun. So
yeah, the ring steps bit was great. Yeah. After that, backstage, we have a Hangman Page interview. Renee asks how he's feeling. Swerve interrupts. Says, "Did you see what I did out there to Jeff Hardy? Matter of fact, I'm undefeated in 2024 as well. Remember that." Another fun fact. Who's the last person to beat you, Hangman? Page says, well, it's New Year, New Me, dumbass. How about that? Look, I'm 3-0, okay? If I were a betting man, I'd bet I'll knock you down these ratings before you get a whiff of that world title. Renee tells him they'll both be in the dealer's choice matches next week, choosing each other's match. I do appreciate the dealer's choice, Larson.
I do. Are they going to pick each other's opponents?
It's pick your poison. That's what the TNA calls it.
Yeah, that's right.
I love it.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Who are they going to pick?
Who is somebody that... Who's the last person that Hangman Adam Page? Who's...
It should be someone like Lance Archer.
Shit, I was just about to say that because he did that Texas Death Match with him ages ago.
Texas Death Match, which was awesome.
Oh, God, yeah, I was about to say that.
It should be either Lance Archer or it should be Mox. Swerve should pick Mox to face
I
Page.
Kind of feel like with these pick your poison matches, top level guys are off limits. You know what I mean?
It seems that way. So it'll probably be Brian Cage.
It is. It's totally gonna. They last fought in September.
Yeah.
I don't know like how that all worked out. I mean,
Page won
beat
that one.
he won. I'm looking.
Yeah,
I'm going down his thing.
At one
here.
point, Brian Cage beat Hangman like 2 years ago, so they did that match again. All right, who is Page going to pick to face Swerve then?
Tanahashi. I don't know. Let me look at Swerve's because Page has won a lot lately.
Yeah.
Let's see. Did anybody have besides Mox? Did anybody have his number at all? Hey, how about this? A healthy Dustin Runnels, a healthy Dustin Rhodes.
There we go.
Maybe like AR Fox, a guy who's got some beef with him from the past.
Maybe.
Yeah, that could be.
After that interview, we got Thunder Rosa versus Red Velvet. Thunder Rosa gets the win here. Finish saw Thunder Rosa hit that drop kick against the ropes. Follows with a Northern Light suplex. Gets the 2. Looks for a Fire Thunder driver, I think. Red Velvet escapes that. Hits some strikes. Gets a roll up. Then follows with a double stomp. Double knees against the ropes. Looking for a Bulldog, but Thunder Rosa blocks that. Looks for her finish. Velvet escapes, but then Thunder Rosa hits her with a drop kick and hits her that package powerbomb deal. The new finisher to get the win.
I appreciate Thunder Rosa. I really do. I kind of feel like they really need to start pushing Red Velvet, though, man.
I know.
I think she's really good. I don't think she should be enhancement talent, dude.
Nope. Absolutely not. Yet Red Velvet should get some wins. Agreed.
She keeps
1,000%.
on taking these losses. I get they're kind of high-profile-ish losses, but you got to get somebody else for that, man.
I know. Agreed. 1,000%.
After that, we had Sting and Darby Allin interview. Darby takes the mic. He says, I want to take a second and talk about a few things. You know, he doesn't do the sad teenage voice anymore.
Not really.
He's just normal Darby.
Yeah.
He says, whenever I do radio interviews, TV interviews, everybody asks me what it's like to team with the icon Sting, and also that I should slow down. I'm going to retire before Sting. He said that with a nice little kick to his voice, you know?
Yeah, he did. He was
tongue-in-cheek, yeah.
Poking a little fun at himself.
He says, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I want to talk about the impact this man has had on my career. I didn't just start in 2020 in AEW. Started back in 2015 in my first year in pro wrestling when I saw this man's career essentially end early from a neck injury. And I thought to myself, what if that was me? What if my life's work was cut short? And then all these years later, I hear that Sting is coming to AEW, and I don't know exactly what for because I heard that he never wrestled again. You remember this part, Sting. I flew to your house in Texas. You had a wrestling ring in your garage, and we were rolling around in the ring. And within 5 minutes, what did I say to you? I looked you dead in the eyes and said, you still got it. So the Young Bucks are backstage watching. Darby continues. And I'm not lying to you, and I told you to get back in this ring and finish your career on your own terms. Now look at us. 27-0, undefeated. The rankings are back, so I think that puts us in the top spot. Number one. I've got to check the rankings here in a second on the internet.
Oh, no. Renee said they won't be updated till the end of the month.
What in the world?
She said that last night.
Okay. So he says the rankings are back, puts us in the top spot, number one contenders. And we'd be dumbasses not to take that opportunity. So just like all those years ago in Texas, I'm going to look you in the eye and say this one more time. You still got it. But the only difference is I'm not alone this time. I think Savannah can agree as well. Crowd obviously chants at that point. You still got it.
Yeah.
Darby says, so what do you say, Sting? Do you want to end your career as AEW Tag Champions? Darby passes the mic to Sting and he says, all right, Savannah, I'm all in. It's showtime.
Showtime.
Darby gives him a big old hug. This is so nice. I watched that clip again because Dope was texting me about Darby Allin, and I was like, man, you got to watch this. And it's the Rusev match. And 45 seconds into the clip is like towards the end of the match.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my favorite moment, man.
It's so good.
It's still
one of the best moments in AEW history.
It really is.
See, that's the kind of good in-ring storytelling that they used to do really well.
And they need to get back to that stuff. No. It also kind of makes me, look, man, whatever they want to do, that's cool. But it kind of bums me out that we never got a Darby Sting feud. Because I was thinking about this. I'm like, when Sting said, hey, I'm going to retire at Revolution, right? Could you imagine if Darby turned on him then? And it's like everybody thinks, oh, Darby wants to be the guy to retire Sting, and that's his way of going about it. But no, he's sad he's losing his father.
I know.
He doesn't want to lose
deal with it, so he takes it out on Sting.
Oh, and then like mid-final match, like maybe Darby cries and breaks down.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason why.
Yeah.
But whatever they want to do, they've been a bright spot in AEW over these past years.
They have been,
man.
for the most
They
part.
really
Yeah,
have been.
Next up, we got AEW's Trios title match. The Acclaim defending against Gates of Agony and Brian Cage. Did Khan upset somebody backstage? Because he's taken a lot of pins lately. Took this pin.
I could assume so. Him, Red Velvet, Queen Aminata. They're all Ring of Honor stars. Larson.
Is that Shane Taylor?
Shane Taylor, another Ring of Honor star. He's fighting him and what's his face? Lee Moriarty. Who are they fighting on Rampage?
Oh, Lee Moriarty's got a match against Mox on Rampage. I know.
Fuck's sake, man. All these Ring of Honor stars taking all these losses.
It's yeah.
That is the commonality, right? Is there something else I'm missing here, Larson?
There might be something else, Steve.
All right, let's move on.
So yeah, Acclaim got the win here. It was a fun enough match, even if the outcome was a bit not necessarily up in the air.
Well, because now it's the Acclaim, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
Bang Scissor Gang. So at one point, Khan has a chair in the ring, and then Jay White comes down and takes it from him. And then the Guns powerbomb Prince Nana through the timekeeper table.
Yeesh, yeah, that was pretty rough.
Yeah, then Khan takes everybody's finisher, Famouser from Billy, an Arrival from Bowens, and a mic drop from Caster.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Maybe he did make somebody mad. He's got a great look to him, too.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a great look.
Yeah. We got a Serena Deeb video package. She's going to have a return match on Collision.
Yup.
Did they say who she was going to face?
Nope.
Take a
as
guess.
far as I know. Brian Cage.
Serena Deeb versus Brian Cage?
That'd be sick. She ties
That'd
up
be
full
something
up.
else.
Bishop Khan. I don't know, probably Red Velvet, dude.
Probably Red
It's
Velvet,
gonna be
I know.
Red Velvet or Queen Aminata. Come on, man.
Come on, Tony.
Stop being so obvious about it, Tony.
Come on, Tony.
God damn it, dude. You're killing us, man. You're killing us over here.
I know. Then we had our main event. Cope Open. Adam
Cope.
Copeland taking on Minoru
They had
Suzuki.
to rush into this one, man. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Because something went long. I don't know if it was that last match or what, but there was like no commercials. It was like straight from Celebration to Serena D package to Cope's entrance, Suzuki, and they got right into it.
Yeah. And it seemed like it was kind of like, hey, we got to cut the first 5 minutes of the match. We're just going to start with Suzuki. Try to hit a pile driver, like right away.
Yeah.
If you like forearms and chops, this is a match for you.
Yep.
There's a lot of that. At one point, Cope yanks off the top turnbuckle cover when he's trying to hold on to it because Suzuki's got a sleeper and trying to pull him off the ropes. Cope escapes that. Sleeper hits a spear, cover, Suzuki kicks out. Suzuki locks on another sleeper, and Cope starts to fade, but eventually he gets to his feet. Like Remsburg raises the hand at 1, and Cope gets up then, not even 2. Mm-hmm. But maybe they were running out of time. So he gets to his feet and then flings Suzuki into the exposed turnbuckle, falls with a kill switch to get the win.
He's obsessed with Christian Cage.
Here's the thing, though. Did Cope make Minoru Suzuki, the Pancrase legend, tap out? Or no, he didn't tap. Yet Lee Moriarty had to tap, someone who's one of the best technical wrestlers in the world today.
Yeah. Well, he's
Make that make sense,
He's a
Steve.
Ring of Honor star. That's why. He's a Ring of Honor star.
That's why, huh? So anyways, Cope gets on the mic, says, I've never been hit so hard in my life. Suzuki respects, so he offers his hand, and Suzuki just screams at him and leaves.
That was pretty funny. Cope says, honestly, I'd be disappointed if you did shake my hand. That was a war, the type of war Christian Cage knows nothing about. Christian, I'm still coming for you.
They just had a no DQ match, man.
Yeah, bro, what the heck? You lost, Cope. I mean, you won, but then you lost the thing.
Lost, I know.
Yeah. All right, you want to answer some questions?
Let's answer some questions. Yeah.
All right. Let's see here.
Cameron Bortolazzo says, what's an underrated positive for Raw moving to Netflix for me is that they won't cut out holy shit chants. Well, they don't have to, but they still might.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as hardcore as people think it's going to be. No. I mean, maybe maybe Triple H will be like, hey, blood's cool. We're cool with blood. You know, if they want to introduce more realism into the product. not have Bobby Lashley be the champion.
Oh, yeah.
That tweet was funny.
That was great.
Yeah, for me personally, ease of use. Because when I want to watch the live version, I have to use like the USA app, which is not terribly.
Oh, you don't do the TV
use.
Go on Xfinity? Stream it?
Okay, so that's the other thing that I could do because I have the USA app on my TV and my Chromecast.
Oh,
Chromecast's a bit easier because the Samsung software is not great on their TVs. I might need to see if there's a firmware update. And so the other thing that I do is, I'll get on the app and then I'll stream it from there. But then sometimes if I open up a different app, it'll want to like supersede the the Xfinity app. So it's all over the map, and Netflix is a really, really easy. It's got a beautiful UI. Yeah. So that's for me.
Let's see. Andre Zimpel here says, out of all the Triple H guys, who do you think is your personal favorite?
Oh, wow. Probably Kevin.
Oh, sorry. Who do you think are his personal favorites? Sorry, I misread
Seth
that.
Rollins. I think. Seth.
I think so.
I think it's Seth.
Maybe Gunther going forward.
Is it possible Gunther is new number one Triple H guy?
Maybe.
Could be. Let's see here. Here we go. First name John says, not sure about the premise here, but I'll read the question.
All right.
With it being an almost absolute certainty that Rock versus Roman is happening at WrestleMania now, do we get a triple threat with Cody, Punk, and Rollins for the title?
No, Cody doesn't want that title.
Cody doesn't want that title, but I will tell you this, and I was going to make this point during our earlier talk. The way they've been building that title, everybody on Raw, like a really significant and really well done roster, wants that title. Larson, I think they could get that title to the point
where Cody, one important thing missing from that title,
Roman
lineage.
Reigns. Oh yeah,
it's not the lineage title. It's not the title didn't exist when Dusty challenged superstar Billy Graham for the WWE Championship. That's the title Cody wants.
That was like a
That's
WWF title. The company doesn't even exist. That title doesn't exist anymore.
I know, but it's all been wrapped up in the belt that Roman has. Cody wants that title.
All right.
Nothing else.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's a cool title though. They're doing a good job with it.
Superman Bass Fisher here says, do you guys really think Roman will retain? I'm thinking storyline is Roman loses the title, which could set up a bloodline match at WrestleMania 40. You mean at Rumble?
Wait, what?
Rock versus Roman, no title, while setting up a cool Mania main event like LA Knight versus Gunther or Randall Keith Orton versus Cody. No, Roman's gonna have the title at WrestleMania.
Yeah, he's gonna have the title at WrestleMania.
Roman's not losing that 4-way match.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be like, well, something really weird happened today, people.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Jesse Helsius has a good question. Which episode of Dark Side of the Ring of the new season are you looking forward to? And will y'all be reviewing the new season? I'm down to try that again to review it. You know, we'll try to get right on it, you know.
Oh, let me see.
Some of the topics were a tad on the cold side last year.
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Ring season, what is it, 5 now?
Yeah.
All right, list of topics. Here we go. Chris Adams. I don't really know a lot about him. So
yeah, I don't know a lot.
I know he trained Austin.
Yeah.
Sensational Sherry.
That'll be interesting.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Sherry's great.
Terry Gordy.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that one. Black Saturday. This is one that we literally advocated for on the thumbnail of our suggestion. So,
yeah.
Jason, Evan.
Yeah.
No sweat. No problem. Don't even need a thanks in the credits. Chris Colt.
I don't know anything about Chris Colt.
Don't know anything about him. I think I read a tweet that said he wrestled from the 60s to the 80s.
There was in the trailer, there was something about someone wrestling apparently like on acid or something because they thought there was giant spiders crawling over the cage.
That could be this next guy, the Sandman.
That will be interesting.
In the New Jack one, that dude was a good storyteller.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Earthquake.
Okay. I'm not familiar enough with Earthquake's story to know why they would necessitate a dark side, but I'm sure it'll be interesting.
Harley Race. I'm down with that.
Yeah, I mean, he won the NWA title like 7 times.
Yeah. I mean, is the idea now that just wrestlers, like in general, like the entire industry is dark, and so you could just pick any wrestler, and there's going to be a dark side waiting for you?
I think so. I think so. From like the 60s, maybe to the mid-aughts, yes.
Yeah. Buff Bagwell.
Okay, I can see why he's going to be a subject. Yeah.
And Brutus Beefcake.
Yeah. He was really nice to us at StarCast.
He was super nice. Seems like a real sweetheart. Really does. So, yeah. We'll see I'm curious what he has to say about Hulk Hogan.
That'll be interesting.
That'll be interesting. Yeah, we're going to review that shit this year, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Time to get back on the dark side. Back on the dark side thing. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you around.
Goodbye.